North County Pipeline. Uh, Happy Sunday. Just wanted to do a little recap of this week's big items that we covered, starting with Windsor Pointe in Carlsbad. The issue comes back to the council once again. Not much movement here. It's more of just an update and report on the ongoings of the troubled facility. But there is some good news. A lot of some decreased calls to service over the last 6 months or so, according to the police department. So that's been much needed for the area, which obviously has been under just immense pressure and criticism over the past 3 years or so, and for a host of issues, from drugs, few deaths, just kind of general chaos, and a lot of questions about lease violations and how the developer and the property manager has been handling the situation. And although there was some good news with the decrease in calls, one resident pointed out that the new property manager doesn't really have much experience with serious mentally ill tenants, and wasn't in compliance with the state Secretary of State. So they've only been in compliance for the last 5 months or so, and brings to the surface again, more questionable players handling these tenants in these difficult situations. People who want to get off the streets or who have illnesses need treatment and wraparound services. So it's something that's not going to go away. Windsor Pointe, that is, and it's going to be here for the next 50 plus years. So there needs to be some sort of accountability from Affirmed Housing and whoever the new property manager is, or that is Solari actually. But those individuals or those entities need to really help out the neighbors, help to make sure the tenants who are there aren't under constant harassment or threats of getting back on drugs and things of that nature. So it's just a troubling, problematic facility all the way around. I don't think anyone could say it's really been a success. But we'll see. They'll bring about another report to the council in, I think, 6 months or so later this year. So we'll see kind of what happens with the calls, and if things are getting better over there, people can actually get the treatments and the services they need. Because right now, some people are still struggling really badly. Moving over into Encinitas this week, the big one was parks. Again, housing and parks, that battle, and really the housing battle in Encinitas. And it was what's referred to as L7. It's been a city-owned property since 1998, 99, and the city bought the property, park funds, and then a couple years ago, the council decided to classify it under the supply or the Surplus Lands Act. And so they wanted to build an affordable housing, 100% affordable housing project there with up to 45 units. They were also considering a development for seniors. It was about maybe 60 units. And the 100% affordable housing would have been subsidized. Mayor Bruce Eller said about $26 million from the city would have gone to that. However, this council unanimously said, no, we're going to pivot. We're going to build a park out there instead. City staff was going through its budgets, found about $3.1 million in mitigation fees that they'll use to get that off the ground with design, in environmental reviews, and construction. Councilman Jim O'Hara also directed the staff to start in search of a public-private partnership, so a nonprofit that could work with the city, raising funds to add amenities to the park and really build it out to be something for that area. And there were some housing folks there, pro housing folks, that San Diego Housing Federation, that again, were aggressive in saying that the city should not do this, that they could be violating state housing laws and threatening lawsuits. What else is new in Encinitas and development? But the council felt, and the city staff felt pretty strongly, that they had a good case, that because they've met their housing element requirement, and it'd only be a moderate or above moderate housing, I should say, requirements. They only need to fill 3 units, so they could find that elsewhere in the city to put. So they feel any kind of litigation or anything like that by the state or another party, the city would be in good standing and be able to come out on the other side with that. So it was pretty interesting back and forth. The gentleman from the Housing Federation, said, they made sure that the state was aware, HCD, and Mayor Ehlers kind of responded in the way he does, and so it was just wasn't tense back and forth necessarily, but it was more calm than what it was for the Quail Meadows apartments projects. And so then that was another bit of kind of the argument as well too, is that, they're putting 1,100 units roughly up throughout the Quail Gardens corridor. And it's just a, narrow, small kind of 2-lane road that bisects Lucadia and Encinitas Boulevard. And so that's where the park is and all the developments are going. So, there's no park over there. Encinitas kind of lacks parks in general, and O'Hara, that was one of his points, was the city was about 500 acres short of, kind of the parks under what they've set over the course of the history of the city. So, from that perspective, the park is much needed, and we'll see if there's any kind of lawsuit or anything like that to get it back to being a housing development. But for now, a lot of residents feel like it's a big win to kind of slow the growth and jamming, high density projects into areas that, if they're maybe lacking the infrastructure to handle kind of those things. So, it's just another one to follow. So, and we'll have a story coming up that follows up the park on more of the partnership. So I'm looking forward to that. So be sure to check that out next week. And then also, at the county, battery energy storage systems, or BESS as they're known, was another topic of discussion for the board. Supervisor Jim Desmond brought forth a resolution hoping the board would support it. It's a bill, an Assembly Bill 303 from Sacramento by a Democratic legislature whose district covers San Francisco, Monterey, San Francisco kind of area, south. And it really, what it does is regulates where these facilities can be built. And basically what the opposers, the people opposing Desmond's resolution, were saying is this bill makes it impossible to build a BESS facility, basically anywhere. You got coastal area limit or coastal zone limitations. Can't build within 3,200 feet of a home, resident, or hospital, school, things of that nature. And then you can't build in high fire zones. So they felt like in the special interest groups and such, they felt it was more of a de facto, it'll be more of a de facto moratorium. So that's going to be a nice little battle to watch out in Sacramento. But back at the county, the supervisors, they didn't want to support that resolution at all, to voice support for that bill, even though there's a lot of residents from Otay Mesa to Valley Center and Escondido, really worried about the development of those facilities so close to homes and fire zones. And we've seen lots of fires. These things are dangerous. The industry will say that the technology is getting better, but, we haven't been able to see those kind of new improvements in the tech in a real world scalable model yet. So it's hard to say that, they will be, 100% foolproof or fireproof, things of that nature, that they will be able to just be contained in containers, things of that nature. So it's a balance there, but for the most part, the supervisor said, well, we're already crafting kind of our own ordinance. We're waiting for the state to update the fire codes on BESS facilities. And then from there, the fire chief will update the county codes and bring back an ordinance in January of next year. So the fire chief does have ultimate say over the board on kind of the development of those things. And so there is a pause right now on those developments. And currently, and one thing that Desmond's argument was making was the bill also closes a loophole to where the state, the California Energy Commission can approve a private project, whereas right now the CEC just approves the utility, and then the CPUC will approve a utility project. So like something from SDG&E or a PG&E, and then they can kind of build those wherever. And the private folks go through their local governments, but they still can go through the Energy Commission if they'd like. And so that's one reason why Desmond was trying to rally support for it. Ultimately failed. Tara Lawson Remmer, kind of the same thing. She's all about the green energy and the energy transition, and so she felt the local control would be better if the bill doesn't pass, and then the county can still do then the projects will still go through the county, and so they can vote yay or nay. But residents in Escondido and Valley Center are really worried because there's two big projects planned for there. And that was another thing about the bill. The bill limit is just only in scope of development of a facility that's 200 megawatts of storage or more. So it's not like all of them would be banned, but I think it would really, the one in Escondido and Eden Valley, really, in the unincorporated county, that one would meet the criteria of the bill. But since the application's already been applied, it's not retroactive. Same with Valley Center, but there's been a couple of fires in Valley Center. There was a fire in Escondido. There was 3-week fire in Otay Mesa last last year, I should say. And then, of course, there was the big one in Moss Landing, which is the home of, or the district of, the woman who filed the bill. So that there was 2 fires at Moss Landing, and it's one of the biggest battery storage facilities in the world. And, so that's probably where the bill came from. But that bill, that fire in January when it first broke out, it forced evacuations of thousands of residents. Initial reports found heavy metals and toxic material about 5 miles away. So that's a pretty serious event up there, and so that's where a lot of these considerations are coming in, and the need for regulations on these type of facilities. So we'll keep an eye on that one for you, and see how that progresses through the legislature. And finally, just wanted to touch on this one: the La Costa Youth Organization special needs baseball team. Really cool story. I loved writing that one. Their season starts on March 15th. They're doing a GoFundMe, so go check that out and donate if you can. And it's just a great little program to help anyone with physical or mental disabilities and get out and play some baseball. They got a bunch of coaches teaching the kids the particulars of the game. They're really patient with them. They don't put a lot of pressure on them. And especially I spoke with a couple of parents whose kids have autism, and where they're with a lot of autistic kids, they can be really shy, and it's tough for them to try new things because they're not immediately successful with it. But this has really turned those kids around, and their personalities have blossomed, and they've really been able to improve their lives and be more social and more fun, and love coming to the park to play ball. So that season they kick off. They play at Stagecoach in Carlsbad, and so if you're interested or you want to get your kid involved, reach out to them. It's a great program, and again, they're doing a fundraiser as well. They need some funds for equipment and things like that. So be sure to check that out. And their season again starts on March 15th at Stagecoach. And outside of that, that's the recap for this week. So enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.